In this video I am going to attempt a larger scale synthesis of sulfuric acid from ferrous sulfate and oxalic acid. I will be using ascorbic acid from a vitamin C pill and sunlight as reducing agents to hopefully increase the yield and prevent the oxidation of ferrous sulfate into ferric sulfate from oxygen contained in the air and in the water we use as a solvent. I got the entire procedure from a video made by NurdRage. He covered this reaction excellently in his video. I adapted the numbers to fit the limitations of my glassware, since my largest beaker has a volume of around 1000 milliliters. Here is 225 grams of ferrous sulfate that I measured out. These are the remains of a crushed vitamin C pill. This is my source of ascorbic acid. Now I take a small amount of it and transfer it to the rest of the ferrous sulfate to prevent oxidation before I dissolve it in water. Now I have added the 750 milliliters of warm water to dissolve it, and it's dissolving well, but as you see it turned to an orangish color because it already started to oxidize into ferric sulfate. I hoped that this reaction will be prevented by the ascorbic acid, but it seems like it hasn't worked so far. I decided to add some more ascorbic acid to prevent further oxidation and hopefully reduce some of the stuff that has already oxidized. But the problem is that most of the vitamin C pill just floats on top and doesn't really dissolve well, so it just pollutes the product instead of doing much useful. Here is a little over 125 grams of oxalic acid dihydrate. Now I dissolve 125 grams of oxalic acid in 225 milliliters of water, and this water also has to be warm. I'm gonna stir it with the same stir rod. And once all of it is dissolved, I will add it to the now oxidized iron sulfate mixture that I have. I overfilled my larger beaker a little, so I had to transfer some of the material to the smaller 400 milliliter beaker. But now it's looking alright. It has started to settle, the precipitate formed, and now I will wait until morning for everything to settle, and then I will put it out onto the sunlight to decompose any ferric oxalate that might have formed. And I'm sure a lot of it formed in this case, because there was lots of oxidation happening. It just completely turned brown, so I'm sure that there's a lot of oxidized stuff in here. But I will put it out onto the sun and it will hopefully decompose. As you could see, most of the precipitate has settled out to the bottom. In the larger 1000 milliliter beaker, it nearly reaches the 200 milliliter mark. The liquid above it is very yellow because there's lots of iron sulfate still dissolved in it. The precipitate should be bright yellow, but in fact it is an orange-brown color because there's lots of ferric oxalate in it, so it has oxidized a little bit from the iron 2 to the iron 3 salt. I decanted some of the liquid from the beakers and now I am filtering it. This jar actually contains my previous batch of sulfuric acid that I made in the previous video. If we compare, the batch I'm making currently is much yellower than the previous one. It might be a little hard to see, but there is actually a dead spider in the sulfuric acid that I made a couple weeks ago. I don't know, I think it might have tried to drink it or something. That brown spot here, that's that spider. So these are the products. These two jars contain the already filtered raw sulfuric acid, and this beaker contains the precipitate with some liquid over it. So this is the iron oxalate precipitate, the paste that I got. It is a very weird material because it is a little like a non-Newtonian fluid. It becomes hard if I try to move it violently, but if I shake it around gently, then it becomes a liquid. The oxalate paste still contains some acid residue, so I am going to neutralize that with this sodium bicarbonate. That will become very fizzy. Now I pour out the precipitate onto this plate where I will try to dry it. I will leave it out. It's quite warm and dry in this garage, so it will dry relatively quickly. And here you could also see the sort of non-Newtonian fluid properties of this precipitate paste. So here are the products. This is the iron oxalate sludge. It has turned brown again from oxidation. I might use this to make pyrophoric iron once it's dried. Here is some of the sulfuric acid that I put out into this tray to evaporate off some of the water. And this bottle contains around 1.2 liters of very dilute sulfuric acid. I will refine this sometime in the future. I don't know when I will get around to do it. Hopefully as soon as possible.